All right, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. I have a very special show today. For the first time ever, a live mini masterclass and a preview of this year's Drum Set Coach Academy 2026 Summer Camp, June 22nd through June 26th. And I'll give you some more information on that through the show. So come along for the ride as I introduce my guests. You know him as the original drummer and a founding member of Tower of Power. He's an author, educator, and a national treasure. Please welcome that funky kid from Oakland, the legendary David Garibaldi.
Big John, what's up? My left-handed brother, how are you?
It's great to see you, David. You've heard this next man a million times on some of the biggest hit records ever recorded. He's more solid than the Rock of Gibraltar. From Huey Lewis in the News and the Sons of Champlin, my old friend of 40 years, the great Bill Gibson. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you, John. Good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Always.
Always, buddy. And last but not least, master drummer, educator, author, founder of the Drum Set Coach Academy, Henrique De Almeida, and the person that holds the glue together, his wife, Erika, Chief of Operations for the Drum Set Camp. All right, well, welcome, everybody. It's great to have you guys here. I'm glad this all worked. I think we're going to be able to pull off this little master class we have planned. But I want to start off. Bill is on a little bit of a schedule, so I thought we'd talk about the camp that's coming up in October. And the dates I've just learned are actually it's October 31st and November 1st. Bill will be doing a camp. But Bill, you pointed out you've been part of the summer camp for the past 2 years, and I know you were here with us last year when we talked about this. So
yeah, it's and Henrique's camps are fantastic. They get he gets his students. A lot of his students come from all over the world. These people come, and there's this one young drummer from Latvia who's been there the last 2 years, and this kid's a monster. And so it's really fun. It's all. Let's see what's the word? All there's a beginning.
Yeah,
and
all levels.
All. What's the word I'm looking for?
Levels of playing.
All levels, all levels of playing, yeah. And so it's not just tailored to one specific group. But and usually, I mean, with Dave was the teacher last year. I did a clinic and taught some of our tunes the year before. But last year, I was a student last year, and it was tremendous. So I just sat back and listened to David, and and it's really very, very cool. And I would recommend this camp to any drummer of any stature. It's really great.
It sure sounds it.
Last year I had some doctor's appointment and I left Bill in charge in the afternoon. Remember that? you end up teaching in the afternoon.
Oh, that's great. I'm just trying to think what, everybody came away with, knowing how to play the shuffle feel to If This Is It. No, I don't know.
I actually didn't even get to that one, but I will in October.
All right, cool. Well, just to talk about the upcoming one, which is coming up soon, next month, the dates are June 22nd through June 26th. It's in Colorado Springs, Colorado, beautiful part of the world, been there many times. Limited spots available, only 10 students total that's the maximum number of students. So is that correct, Erika? I'm going to ask Erika because she has all the answers.
Yeah, we'll take a maximum of 10 students. 8 is going to be really great because everyone gets individual attention, and it's everyone walks away feeling inspired. They can't even believe that they're there studying with David and getting to know him, and it's just awesome. And last 2 years, Bill, everyone's just like blown away. So it's a lot of fun.
That's great. That's great. And 10 students, I mean, that makes it very, as there's so much one-on-one, interaction with the students and the professors. So that's so key. Coaching with David Garibaldi and Henrique De Almeida. Students will have several drum sets to choose from. to practice the material each day, lots of one-on-one attention, which we just talked about, and the week with a catered lunch and a graduation ceremony to present everyone with their certificate. Yeah. And I'll put the link to, how people can sign up. I'll put that in the show notes, obviously. And in fact, maybe I'll throw that up here during the show at some point. But I just want to point out, Bill, my old buddy Bill Gibson and I were chatting offline earlier. And I think as such a big fan of both you and David, I just think it's so cool that you two guys have become such great friends through working together on this camp these last few years. And you guys are like legends of the Bay Area, of the drum community. And to see you guys giving back the way you're doing, it's so awesome, man. I just applaud you both. David, I will just say, knowing David for as long as I've known him, I don't know how he does it. I mean, he seems to be everywhere now. Now that he's not on the road with Tower of Power anymore, it hasn't stopped him. You know what I mean? I see him in pictures sitting in with bands at gigs, and he's, here, there, and everywhere, and he's putting books out through Hudson Music, and so
I don't feel like I'm everywhere. I feel like I'm here at my house, but.
Well, you seem to be everywhere.
I know what you mean. Dave shows up in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I lurk. I'm a lurker. I went to see the night before last. I went to see Todd Zuckerman.
Yeah, that's where I saw a picture of you with Todd. Yeah,
he was like doing master classes here at Dub's Drum Basement, local drum shop. Really, really nice shop, and it was outstanding, man. I mean, what a great guy. I mean, just a super person.
Yeah.
And his teaching was really, really fantastic. So we had 2 levels. The first night was like technique and basic things. And then I guess last night, which I didn't attend, was, more in depth with, drum set, vocabulary, that kind of stuff, But it was really fun, man. It was really cool to see.
Todd's a monster,
Yeah.
But like you say, a great teacher. I mean, he's a great player, but he doesn't go over everybody's head. I mean, he can teach.
He's right there, man. Yeah, he was right there with everyone. Where everyone was at. It was, he asked people questions, had everybody play a little bit. It was cool. It was really,
that's great.
really, really well done.
Well, David, you were, and by my recollection, one of the original clinicians. I mean, really, in terms of I think about, we talked about this before in past episodes with you and Roy Burns when you guys were with Rogers and Peisty in the 80s, 70s and 80s doing clinics and really kind of getting the ball rolling for so many people.
Well, Roy was as the original clinician. He kind of was the first guy who really did that kind of full time, so when I hooked up with Rogers drums and Peisty cymbals, Roy was on that roster, and so they paired me with him to learn how to do clinics. So it was like this on-the-job training deal, and it was really, really interesting and fun. Man, we did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and
that's the first time I met Dom. Dom Familaro at the Long Island Drum Center, Jerry Ricky's place.
Yeah.
And it was just a wonderful experience, man. The guy he just was a wonderful teacher. He was just cool, a cool dude. Yeah. We had the greatest time together, and I just learned so much, So I'm very thankful to have that experience, because that also was when clinics were educational, more, the focus was on the educational part of it. And, then it became a little more entertainment centered, which I still don't care for that much, because I want to teach something. I mean, if you're going to have me come in and do something, I want to teach. I want you to leave with something, So when I do these things, I always have like a handout that I do. And, I want people to take something home with them. I learned that from Roy,
Right.
And, have people take it home so they have it on their music stand and they can be reminded of the experience. I still have people contact me. I went to your clinic in Columbus, Ohio in, such and such year. And I have the thing that you gave us, they show it to me and all. I mean,
That's so cool.
It is cool, and that's what the purpose of it was, to help people get into this instrument, to develop a vision for themselves and, help people in their quest to want to be able to play,
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can say something about David, one of the reasons that I love to, that he's coming pretty much became a thing is like, this camp is really different than a lot of camps. Like when I was a professor at Berkeley, we had different levels of camps. We had the percussion weekend, the percussion week, the 5-week program, the 12-week program, and then full-blown college semesters. And basically what we did at Berkeley, we kind of, we had a set curriculum and we auditioned people, level them out and send them to those levels. Does it make sense? So you audition, we get you a level, okay, this guy goes here, this guy goes there, this girl goes here. And those camps here, we don't audition people. And although Dave and I have enough to teach people for 40 years, whatever it is, we do have prepared things. And Dave, you can chime in anytime you want. We basically, the camp is like today, you said, hey, can you guys give a little preview of the camp? We can, and at the same time, in my opinion, we can't, because the camp is about the students. Once once we get the full roster, we waiting. There is a few spots left. As soon as we get the roster, Dave and I start to communicate with them, and they have kind of a say on what they need, and we combine what our suggestions with their needs and their goals. So it's really about them. And David here is a master of that, of trying to help them to facilitate what they want to get into. You wanna comment on that, Dave? The difference of the camp. Also, they're not on a pad. It's not like growing up as having Dave as one of my heroes. The opportunities that I had to see him on a big event was on a big stage far away. He'll give a clinic for 45 minutes, whatever, and then he goes away. And here's like going to somebody's house. You spend a week. We go to lunch. There is a lot of, in Portuguese, I was born in Brazil, I speak Portuguese. It's convívio. It's like extended time together with a person on the classroom, off the classroom, conversations. In the afternoons, we have this all call where on the end of the day, we go in the break room and everybody sits around and just talk and ask questions. So, Dave, do you want to talk a little bit about how the camp has a structure, but inside of the structure is a little bit more organic, I think, right?
Well, it's very personal. I mean, I think that the purpose of the camp is to help people to be comfortable with themselves and understand some things about themselves so they can create. I mean, really, this is art, no more, no less, what we do. I mean, it's art. And if you have to always, I think in the way that everything is these days, you have to remind yourself that okay, that's what it is. We're creating art, and you're teaching people how to be artists. And that has a lot to do with personal vision. What do you want to do? So that's the thing that I always ask people when we first get together. What do you want out of this? What do you want to achieve? Which I think is it. I mean, unfortunately, you get taught to follow certain people around because you think that they have more something that you don't. And so we are always in comparison mode. We're comparing ourselves with someone else. We're bringing someone else's name into the conversation. This is a so-and-so lick. This is this is that. Well, not really. I mean, it's you. This is about you and what you want to do, what you want to create. When we were in grammar school, early on in grammar school, and the teacher taught us how to read and we learned how to read and write. And when we wrote, we learned about block letters and cursive letterings and, alphabet and all this stuff. And what did we do? We started using it. The teacher shows us how to use it, but then what does the teacher do? The teacher backs away and you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you left with? Your signature, your view of how you want to say what you say, how you want to write. It's you. This is the same thing that happens on this instrument. It's exactly the same thing. It's just a different context, but it's the same thing. So every time that you sit down to write a letter or you write your name, do you say, oh, this is Mrs. Hannafin's signature? That's my second grade teacher. Are you invoking the name of your grammar school teacher every time you write? No, you're not. What do we do with drums? You play something and you say, oh, this I got this from so-and-so. Somebody else is always in the conversation. It doesn't have to be like that, and it shouldn't be like that, because this is you. How you approach this. This is your musical handwriting. This is your signature. This is how you do it. Nobody else. And as soon as you say that to yourself and really understand it, things really start to open up. Things change in the way that you perceive things. The difference between a dream and a wish. A wish is something that, I wish this would happen, blah, 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 but you're not really doing anything. It's just something you wish would happen. But a dream, that's different. A dream is something that pushes you forward, something that motivates you. Motivation is something that you do. It's not something that happens to you. All of a sudden you get motivated. No, motivated is like, that's action. You're taking action. I'm motivated to do something. I'm motivated to become this thing that I dream about. And that's it. All the great guys that we listen to, all our heroes and all this stuff, that's how they thought. That's how they just did. They followed the muse,
Yeah.
And so Henrique and I, our mission is to give people hope. Bill Gibson's mission when he's with us is to give people hope. That's what it is. And I think that that's really, really important because people don't have it. They don't have it. They look at someone else and say, well, this is, they have it and I don't.
Yeah.
But you do. You got the same thing. It's this viewpoint. Everything we do is creating how you dress, how you write, how you present yourself to other people. The creating, it's the same thing. You've created your life, how you present to people. That's the same thing with music. And so at the camp, that's what we do. We hang out together. We learn from each other. We talk. We have a lot of fun. The breakfast jam sessions are really awesome, sitting around the table talking about different stuff and, banging on the table. And I mean, it's just wonderful, wonderful experience, and because it's small, it's intimate, it's really cool. You get personal needs attended to. It's really, really a fun experience. I can't believe I get to do it a second time. This is my third time. This is my third time.
That's so great.
David and I were talking about the other day that there is so many layers of this camp that is the only closest thing that I ever saw is I used to go to Florida to play with Jeff Berlin and Larry Court. There's a lot of guys living in Clearwater. And Jeff had a school. I'm close friends with his ex-wife, Vic. And his school was kind of like that. Was like going to somebody's house. Was not like Berkeley at all. Was very structured but organic at the same time. And I was talking to Dave about this the other day. And Bill can comment on this too. It's like a lot of guys come back to the camp. So there is a human layer that there is nothing to do with drumming. And Erika can tell you, we get emails from people from all over the world, and I cry sometimes when I read emails because the emails doesn't mention anything about drums. Nobody send me emails, man, thanks for this technique, and thanks for Bill can many times already comment on this. There is a human aspect to this little camp. So I like to think of my little school. It's a small school, but it's really a sacred place for me. It's sacred, because it's a place that Eric and I really care about the students. They become family. I have two boys. One is 15, the other is 17. They know everybody. They know all their students. Great. They know their stories. They know where it's really it's not about the numbers, because, we have a little business team and we bunk heads all the time with the people that work with me, because, I tell them I'm not selling shoes. We're dealing with people. So
you're selling flams. You're a flam salesman.
What is that?
You're a flam salesman.
Flam salesman. Better than a clam salesman. Yeah.
So getting closer to Dave Garibaldi was so cool to teach, because I always talk about a couple of things on the learning process, like storage, recall, processing, like getting knowledge, storaging knowledge, whatever you want to gather around, recalling it, like how you recall the stuff that you're learning. There is a process to do that. And processing the storage of information, those three things, a lot of people, in my humble opinion, they get stuck into that. They storage the vocabulary, they can recall it, they can process it, but they never go to the other level of inspiration, creativity, imagination, intention, choices. And I think that although I was aware of it, hanging with Dave or my Uncle David, hang with Uncle David, he's a master of this other thing, of the imagination, creativity, and intention, and the way he manages his process is really remarkable. The amount of details, and we talk several times a week. Basically, we talk a lot, and I joke with him. I was like, "Stop! We don't need any more." The amount of stuff he's disciplined.
Yeah,
he's disciplined.
That's what I think of too.
It's like a organic discipline. He's an organic guy, but not organic in the way he managed and has the discipline to develop himself and help other people to do that. So the camp, it's like we talk about so many things about, the recall, the storage, recall, and processing. It seems, in my opinion, familiar to a lot of people, like rudiments. And, I'll give you an example. I teach 120 rudiments, the 26 American rudiments, the Swiss rudiments, innovation, chop builders, and we got drills to recall and, orchestration. But the other part, the part of the imagination, the creativity, and the intention and the choices that you do, that's something that, in my opinion, Dave does an amazing job with that part of it, and also using what he does as a template to help you do whatever you do. It's really, at the camp we can get into something really basic as, hand positions and how you do this, but you can get into some deep waters too. It depends of who is on the room and what they want to do. So it's very flexible. But I just want to mention this human side of it. That, Bill, you have anything to say about that?
I want to just jump in really quickly, Henrique, because I know Bill has to go soon, and I know we're getting tight on his time, and I wanted to just mention the fact that when David went back kind of early on and was talking about his sort of how we got into doing clinics through Roy Burns way back sort of in the beginning of all that. And I just, on a personal note, I remember talking to Bill, 30 some odd years ago about the idea of him doing drum clinics. And in those days, he was so busy. I mean, Huey Lewis was putting a record out every year and touring, and understandably, I remember you were kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like it was not something that was on your radar at that time because you just had so much going on. But I just want to say, I think it's so great that you found time now in your life to do this. And because I think, David has, this whole set of tools, obviously, that he can impart and share with people, as does Henrique. And then you've got this whole different set of tools that you can, that I wish I could attend one of these camps, and be part of what you do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I would have loved to have done that, but I was just too busy. But the amazing thing about Dave is Dave was just as busy as I was. He was gone as much as I was, and he was putting together all his ideas and imparting them in clinics and stuff. I mean, his work ethic is second to none, really. I just don't. I'm not that. I'm just not that good at it. What he does. And I never will be. But so I'll take a few things here and there, But Dave was just as busy as I was, and he's done it for the last 50 years. So that's remarkable, in my opinion.
Well,
True.
we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Known about each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And I would say your transformation as a student of Henrique and what you've done with your playing is pretty astounding, man. I mean, you've become really wonderful. What you did with Huey, that was all really great stuff. I mean, awesome stuff. But what you've now added to your tool kit is astounding, man. And the work that you've put in. So,
well, it's been life obviously.
Yeah, to be around that and to see that is to me is really inspiring. You don't have to say a word, just seeing what you do, listening to what you do, hearing your transformation, the things that you've done to create this transformation in your playing, I mean, it's fantastic, man. I applaud you for it. And that to me is a wonderful example for people who want to learn how to do something, is that your example.
That's great.
Really great.
To go back to the human level, Bill teaches lessons to all of us without saying anything. Like I was just talking about that. Here's one lesson that I learned Bill is with me now for 6 years. Okay. And there are so many unspoken lessons. First of all, Bill doesn't waste, this is a life lesson to all of us. He doesn't waste any time with vanity or,
ego.
If you didn't know he was Bill Gibson in a class, he loves the drums and he's there no time wasted, no vibe, no cheaponish. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm going to tell this to all drummers of all levels. It's one thing for you to go on YouTube and see videos of Bill or listen to records. And I know, John, Bill's playing better than everybody, but it's a whole other different thing for you to be at my school, 5 feet from the guy, and he plays those songs right in front of you, and you see the sound, from a generation before computers, before YouTube. And I remember when I was at Berkeley, when a great drummer would come in, I remember, watching Elvin Jones or Tony Williams at Regatta Bar, and they changed the molecular space of the school, of the stage. When Dave came in and Bill, my drum tech couldn't help me, and I was trying to help them set up. That's the first time they both came at the same time. Bill was on the stage, just sound checking, set up in the drums, and Dave was in the other room. And I was like a kid because all of a sudden I'm talking to Bill, and Dave finally set up and he started playing, and Bill and I look at each other. It was like, oh snap, it's Dave, let's go check the sound coming out of the room. That sound, that's Dave's. So we run over there. Then I'm talking to David, and then Bill goes back to the stage, and then Bill got it going and he started playing. We look at each other and we go over there. So if I don't care what level you are, man, you should come to Bill's camp, because when he plays the song, his clinic is really cool, because We have a big TV on the stage. We watch the live footage. He talks about the history behind the song. He plays the song, and to watch him playing, Mark Walker was there with me, and we look at each other. It was really zen. It's like, it was incredible. It was just, I don't know how to explain that, but it's like, it's a whole other thing, man. It's David is very different. I'm doing something else. Bill is doing something else. Mark Walker did something else. Everybody was just being themselves. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. But if you don't want to miss that, my son.
Hey guys, I got to bounce. You keep talking about me as much as you like.
Now we can really talk about you. You're leaving.
Really dropped. But depending on how long this next appointment is, I might try and jump back in.
Okay. All right. If you can, great, Bill. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. If not, good to see you, Dave. Great to see you, John. Henry,
love you, buddy.
I'll see you soon.
Okay. We'll see you soon, Bill.
Be well.
Sending lots of love, buddy. See ya.
Thanks.
So then after he talks about the history of the song, he'll play the song, go over the grooves, and then immediately after that, they go to the classrooms. Everybody's on a drum set, and he works on the grooves and then try to play the songs, and he gives insight, it's unbelievable. I mean, how cool is that, man?
I know.
He lives in these songs, and we have the charts. It's just amazing.
I think, I was just going to say too, just having been around, I've seen lots of David's clinics at music stores and at PASIC and, for years, and having seen Bill play live many times. And I know exactly what you're saying, Henrique. And I think it's the difference between, a pro like David and a pro like Bill. It's as simple as the way they hit the backbeat. Yep. There's just something so special. And David, he's probably thinking, what is he even talking about? Because he doesn't even think about that. But to me, that's when I started spending a lot of time around guys at their level. That was the thing that I noticed, is that there was just something special and different with something as simple as just playing the backbeat, just the way their hand came down on the snare drum and where they put that beat placement. And
yes.
And that would be, so many times I'd watch David or someone of his caliber, and it would be a lesson just to see that. And I'd see Bill, and up close at a gig. And, he'd have, the funny thing about seeing Bill with Huey Lewis is that it was so obvious. He'd be playing for the song and he'd be playing, the groove and what was needed. But there were moments where you knew he had so much in his back pocket that he could pull out at any time if he needed to, facility wise. He had, there might be one spot where he'd take a fill and he'd play something that was, off the charts.
Yep.
And that to me,
in that context, the amount of discipline, it's like David, I call David the tailor, Dave Garibaldi.
Yeah.
He's like, a groove physicist, but when Bill plays in front of you, you understand about arrangement, and there is not one note that it's like not meant to be there. So everything is a big deal. He goes to a bell and you go, look, oh my, I think most people overplays on that context. It's like, it's amazing. And then, just to be up close with those guys, and David, be on the classroom when I was running the camp. Every chance I had to go in the classroom, and David, he goes on the whiteboard and everybody's building grooves, and it's just, I don't know how to explain, man. It's an amazing thing. That's all I have to say.
Well, let's sorry, I just wanted to make sure everything was working here. Let's have David maybe play a little something, give us a little preview of what he'll be talking about at the camp, and
okay.
Or anything you want to demonstrate or play, David.
Sure.
Dealer's choice.
I think, listening to the conversation here and talking about, intention. I mean, we all listen to all these great people that were really mild. And John, you were talking about it, something that the drummers have that you like. Well, I think it's it's intention. Every great drummer, when you play, you're sending something when you hit the drums. So if you're just playing simple backbeat, so I'm thinking of something, I'm sending that groove, I'm sending it. Everything starts here. I'm sending that when I play. So every time I play, I'm thinking like a performance. I mean, I don't sit down and play and it's not a performance, Sometimes with when I work with people and I have them play, and it sounds very kind of reserved and timid in a way at times. And I said, "Will you play that way on the gig? You do that, would you do that on the gig the way that you just did that? Is that how you normally would hit the drums?" And then all of a sudden, they say, "Oh no, I won't. I wouldn't do that." And then they play the way that they play on the gig, and it's a whole other thing. Then that's what this is about, sending something into your groove. So anything that you play has attitude in it.
Yeah.
Teach people how to have that when they play. Concentrate on the groove. Every note that you play means something. Sound, we talk a lot about sound. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
How do you hit the playing surfaces? How do you want to project what you play? Everything that we do starts in here. Your sound starts in here. One thing we talk about is if you want to have a nice flow in the way that you play, and you're using a lot of ghosting, then you have to think about that sound of like a shaker.
Mm-hmm.
And so that shaker sound kind of weaves itself in through all of your ideas. So you have all these accents and other things that you're doing, but in that is this shaker sound.
Yeah.
And learning how to develop that so that everything's balanced all the time. And understanding how to use that when you create, developing a sound. So we spend a lot of time, like in the camp, we spend a lot of time doing that, talking about sound, how you hit the playing surfaces, how important that is to balance everything. Like in the beginning of Future Sounds, pages 5 to 7 talks about getting a sound, how you balance these three voices, kick, snare, and hi-hat.
Mm-hmm.
And how to because that's really where you make your money. You're playing those things, fills and all of that stuff. It's secondary to that groove concept. The groove, the groove tradition is not fills. The groove tradition is grooves. I mean, you listen to like a lot of the early drummers who were, playing the, like the funk and rock and all that stuff. There wasn't any bunch of fills going on. I remember when I first heard the James Brown band, there wasn't a fill within miles of the building. I mean, it was incredible. And so, that's the tradition that I came up in. That's how I learned about that. And so when I became a member of the Tower of Power, it was my chance to do that, with an ensemble and learn about it.
Yeah.
So Tower of Power became my university, my school. Everything that I know about performing and playing and being a part of an ensemble, I learned there. That became like my university. And that's what I encourage people to do when we work together is, your musical situation, use that to help teach you how to use what you know. Mark Twain talks about, don't let school get in the way of your education. Well, hello. I mean, so we study, but then you have to use what it is that you're studying. I'm not going to take, future sounds to my gig. I'm not going to take a sheet of exercises to my gig. Excuse me, dudes. I want to play exercises 1 through 6 on this song. Do you mind? So concept, you're learning concept. That's what I think, is great about all like books is there's concept in the book. That's what you have to learn how to apply. I'm a horrible student. I've never liked I'm just too undisciplined, So when I think about learning, it's all kind of this on the fly stuff, and I just kind of organize it for myself because I want to understand what it is, how I think, but it's not really academic in any way. You can think that it is, but it isn't. Like somebody like Henrique, he is to me the master educator. This guy, man, he knows how to build classes. He knows how to teach people to do all this different stuff and, the levels of, learning that you need to really master something. I mean, it's brilliant the way that he does it. I don't think that way. It's not the way that, that I'm built. So I do my notebooks, I have my practice notebooks that are, I got them all over the place and I use that as teaching material.
Yeah.
And that's my university is, my notebooks, this kind of stuff.
Well,
and,
David, I was just going to say, when I listen to you and I think of you, by the way, that is just some incredible wisdom and information. Thank you. And I was going to say that, I think of you as one of the most disciplined and organized. It's so funny that you say you're not organized. I won't argue with you on that one, but I think of you as such a disciplined from the standpoint of like playing like the most perfect parts all the time, never overplaying, but what you play is just always so perfect. And it's interesting what you said, and it's I think so key. I never thought of this, but you came up at a time, and I came up a little after you, not that much later, but at a time when there wasn't a lot of overplaying, to put it really sort of bluntly, like you said, like James Brown. I mean, it was the groove. That was just, if there was a fill, it sort of made you fall off your seat because you were waiting maybe for 3 minutes, right, to hear Clyde play something that wasn't just the groove, and it was always so special, and that's the way you play. So I guess my question is, when you encounter, because I think you have to in your teaching encounter students that don't have that kind of discipline, do you have a way of trying to, I don't imagine you'd ever try to force them to do anything, play a certain way, but to try to move them in a direction toward being less busy and more disciplined, and
Well,
that makes sense.
yeah, of course it does. I mean, I don't usually say to people what you're doing is wrong. I usually don't say it like that.
Yeah.
I demonstrate what I'm talking about, and I can demonstrate it live, and I can point them to recordings, like the Future Sounds book, the sound levels and all that sort of stuff. I didn't invent that. That's just something that I heard on recordings, and I wanted to teach, so I had to have it organized to teach people. And so I had this I just organized what I was hearing into like a way to talk to people about it and teach people about it. Then I had a student from Germany at the Dick Gross School of Music, Roland Henkel, and he's the one that came in my class. He's the one that came up with the graph that's in Future Sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like years ago. And he came in, he brought this in. Here, check this out. This is what you're talking to us about. It was brilliant. And so, I don't even know how I got into all that.
No,
but,
yeah.
It's, instruct people, point them in the direction of restraint, really.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
take away all of the toms and all of the cymbals. Take it away. Just have your hi-hat, snare, and bass drum. How does that feel? Naked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to play the essence of everything. I think about with restraint. You talk about the great drummers that play that way. James Gatson, the great James Gatson, had just passed away.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him play live. I, listened to the recordings. I mean, it was incredible listening to him play. And then, I heard him at the NAMM show. I think it was 2020. Tower played at the NAMM show. And the night before we played, we went to a place in San Fernando Valley called the Write-Off Room, and we listened to James and Mike Finnegan and Abe Laborio play. And it was stunning how there was no fills going on. It was just groove.
Yeah.
And if you listen to like Steve Gadd, you listen to the way Steve plays. Steve, to me, I call it going green. He's removed all of the extra stuff out of his playing, and he just keeps refining and distilling everything down to the essence of groove. And that's what he does. You don't hear a bunch of fills and all that other stuff. I mean, that's, he's taking all of that stuff away and showcasing groove in the music that he plays in. He always did that anyway. But now he's seems like it's really, really concentrated. It's brilliant, his transformation, in that regard, So those to me are like really great examples. You point people to those things when you're teaching people about this kind of thing. You just point them in the direction of places to look,
That's great. Yeah. Thank you. Man, that's fantastic. Should we turn it over to Henrique? Henrique, do you want me to play the video, or do you want to demonstrate something on the kit?
Now, let me talk about something, and I'm going to let Erika in a minute tell people how they can sign up to the camp and all that stuff. But so I was born in Brazil and played Brazilian pop music. So I grew up on a groove culture, and we never talk about groove in Brazil. Everything grooves. I didn't hear about we got a groove in pocket until I went to college, and people were talking about we got a pocket and groove. And I have a lot of disagreement with not disagreement. I have my concept of what a groove is based on Brazilian upbringing. A groove, people say, man, I'm a pocket drummer, I'm playing on the pocket, I'm playing this groove on the pocket, everything is the pocket. But, let's say you play this groove on the pocket with a click and it's really grooving, and you pocket, and then you go to a gig and that groove doesn't match what the bass player is doing, the guitar player is doing. Now what? That's not going to groove. In my opinion, a groove is when you're playing together, everybody's playing together in agreement, together.
Listening.
How you part, because, let's say you are a groove player and you're amazing groove pocket player, and I put you in a Brazilian band and you don't know any of those styles, it's gonna be a little weird, right? So I think for me, it's all about context. What type of music do you want to play, and who are you playing with? Is that music for dancing or for listening? I'm, for the last 15 years, God blessed me with the opportunity of, I only say yes to the gigs that I want to play. So there's no restriction on, you got to do this gig because you got to, make that gig money. Since 2011, when I got the gig at Berkeley as a full professor, that when Mike Mangini left Berkeley abruptly and they opened up for auditions, I got the gig. I decided just to play what I want. And I love jazz fusion music, and I have my own band and my own venue. We have a small room. It's a 30-seat room. And I do concerts with my band, and people buy the tickets and they listen to the band. So it's very artistic. And I play
That room right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Dave will be there in a few weeks. But anyway, so I'm going to talk about the context of when I was in Brazil playing Brazilian pop music. My function was to play grooves with a singer. There was a singer, Sel Valença was a big star, and my function on the band was to play grooves, and play grooves, very back on the day, we had to play exactly the way it was on the record. But, when I play improvisational music, not only I have to play time, but some people like more interaction. Some people like to be really interactive. I'll give you an example. When I play with Jeff Berlin, we jam a little bit with Larry Coryell and him. He really likes me to be very interactive, to a point where I'm almost solo with him. He really wants me to get into stuff, When I played with Steve Hunt, he was the keyboard player for Alan Holdsworth for many years. He hated backbeats. He doesn't want the backbeats to be on the same place. He wants to move things around. And, sometimes I get into what he was doing, get into the runs. And so it's a little bit different of the way I look at subdivisions. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff that I'm going to talk about at camp. Sometimes in different contexts, when you talk about triplets, right? So subdivisions, what I call the common rate triplets, 8-note triplets, and 6 tuplets, or 16 notes and 32nd notes. So if you're looking at keeping a groove in 8-note triplets or 16 notes, let's say you're playing a 16-note groove. Or triplet. But there is so many other subdivisions that you can investigate and visit that you're not aware of. I'll give you an example. If I play 16th notes and accent every 7 notes, right? And I played that in 16 notes. It sounds one way, but if I open up a little bit, let's say I'm playing half notes, triplets, right? In the context of the music that I play all the time, which is improvisational music. So if I play a half note triplets, and I put that same rhythm there. Now I have 21/4, and the subdivisions, the note rate would change quite a bit. So check this out. Check this same sticking, but let's put in a different environment. Let's put into this the 3/4. It will be this. Now, if I get a rudiment that everybody knows, like a paradiddle, and just doing a common rate, which is, let's say, 6 tuplets. And I put on that half note triplets, check this out, it becomes a different note, a different dimension, right? If I put a 5 stickings in quintuplets, or in 16 notes, but let's also put that on the half note triplets. 1, 2, 1, 2. So now you have that weird 7, the 6, and the 5, and you can do that with 4s, with everything, right? So what is the purpose of that? Why do I practice that? Why do I teach that? When do I use that in a gig, right? So we have to go back to counting, right? Learning how to count. So let me talk a little bit about counting, and then I'll talk about how you develop the ability to hear those rhythms in those different atmospheres, and then how you put that on a song real quick. So first of all, counting is very important, right? So be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, in every meter, right? In 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1,
Five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. E9 and so on and so on. So the training to count that eventually transferred to a bigger thing. Instead of counting, would be singing. So when I play, odd meters. Now in context, not gonna do all that behind a singer, but in improvisational music with people improvising, I have to not only be able to count, but instead of counting, it becomes something a little more involved, which is have a space like a 12-bar phrase on a blues form, or a 32-bar phrase, or asymmetrical song. So when I'm playing with my band, instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm thinking about the whole chorus of the song, the whole structure of the song is the counting, which is not 1, 2, 3, 4, but is hearing in my head the chord changes in the form of the song. Now, these things that I was talking about, the 7s and the 5 over this, opens up the time. If I sing a song like Equinox, for instance, is a song that goes like this. Ba-ba-dum, do-do-da-do-da-dum, da-da-da-dum, do-do-da-do-da-dum, da-dum-ba-up-ba-ba-ba-da-do-da-da-da. So that's my counting. And I'm going to try to put those 7s, those 5. I'm going to start to playing a lot of stuff that's over here. So my hi-hats on 2 and 4, this is in 4, but this is 3 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not thinking about that when I'm playing, but if I go down to that level of counting, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and it's a feeling that when I'm playing, it's gonna be like this. If you don't know the song, it's not gonna make a lot of sense, but you can. Let me play a couple of chords of that, and I'll start to play over this. 1, 2, 3. So here's that 7 again.
Anyway, so that opens up the time a little bit, and we're talking about, subdivisions and counting and taking stuff from one environment and changing the way you place them, So that's something to do with the home of what you play. Does it make sense?
Okay. That's why I'm at camp, to take out the trash. That's what I do. I empty the waste paper baskets, and let him just completely blow everybody away. I mean, it's like, come on. What do I have this in my house for? I mean, come on. That was brilliant.
Anyway, but it's cool, it's cool, it's.
No, it's an incredible lesson, and it's two different perspectives, but so, I mean, what a value to have both of you guys there, like showing your teaching.
One guy fills up the trash basket, the other guy empties it.
You never know. We might have a special guest pop in on Zoom. Last year we had Rob Wallace pop in, and so that was a real treat for everybody, and they got to ask questions, and he told some stories, and it was really fun.
That's
this
great.
It might be John D. Christopher.
It might be. It might be. You don't want to scare away the students, so you want them to engage. Speaking of Rob Wallace, we have to give a shout out to him. Yesterday, I invited him to be part of this, and I think he said something like, "I'm going to be watching from my balcony," and he's, I'm sure, looking at the ocean right now in the Jersey Shore, watching us. So a big hello to our friend Rob Wallace, who we love. And Rob and Hudson Music will be giving away some digital books by David and Henrique, and we will figure out who those winners are. Maybe after the show, we'll figure all that stuff out. But I know there's been lots of questions and comments on here, and I don't know that we're going to be able to get to those just in terms of the timing right now. But
John, let's do some questions, man. Let's answer some questions that people have.
I know that right before you play the track, I have to do a little intro to that, but go ahead.
Okay, let's do some questions per David Garibaldi. David,
for any of us.
When he says questions, we got questions. Okay, let's see. By the way, there's some really fabulous people watching. Robin Flans, Joe Vitale, David Abraziz. Let's see. I saw a whole bunch
those folks are on here? Wow,
yes,
that's
indeed.
so cool.
You guys attract some good folks. I saw a whole bunch of. Let me go back here and see. Were there any? There were many people saying how much they're enjoying this. Let me see if there's a question. If someone wants to type in a quick question, I will direct it toward David or Henrique. Let's see. If
there's none, it's no big deal. If there's none, I'm always interested in what people are thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Kevin Walker's asking for David, how important is left-hand independence? That's a great question.
Left-hand independence. I mean,
we know the answer. Maybe you could talk about left-hand independence.
Okay, so I'm kind of like I'm ambidextrous, so I all sports with like right hand, I throw right-handed, bat right-handed, kick with my right leg, but then I eat with my left hand, I write with my left hand, and then drums. When I first started with the drums, it was I led with my left on a right-handed drum set.
Yeah,
and so I couldn't understand how to make everything sound even. And even to this day, I often start things with my left hand because that's just the way that I'm wired. But if I want to start something with my right, I have to really think about it. It's crazy.
Well, David, I don't want to interrupt you. Before you came on, I mentioned to Bill and Henrique and Erika that I know that you're what's called mixed-handed. We've talked about this, you and I, that you do some things lefty, some things righty. Anyway, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think that's part of the David Garibaldi secret sauce. I really do. I think you're wired to hear and do things differently, and that's
true. But also, when I started listening to Clyde Stubblefield and all those James Brown guys and Zig and even Earl Palmer and you know, all those drummers that invented this language, I didn't invent it. I just like created some things with it, you know, because it's handwriting. Those guys, everything was like, there was all this left hand stuff going on.
Yeah.
Whoa. And this exchange of rights and lefts was happening in the grooves all the time. So that's how you kind of heard things. You know, there was this, conversation happening with the kick and the snare, And that's what I heard. I've heard there was all the ghosting, and there was all this articulation going on. Bernard Purdy, did it in a really, really sophisticated way, at least to my ears. Zig was another guy, his thing was all like broken up. It wasn't an ostinato with one limb. It was all this exchange of all his limbs. It was like brilliant, totally garage stuff. I mean, at the time it was, just amazing. But all of that's become kind of the way that we approach things, So
And I was just going to say, so to the question that was asked, I'm trying to find the person's name here that asked that question. Kevin Walker, I think his name was. Would you say that you, maybe as opposed to some other drummers, probably had a little easier time of developing your left? I mean, your left was already kind of developed anyway because you're
not really. Not really.
No.
I mean, you're learning vocabulary.
True.
So,
yeah.
You have to build vocabulary and use those things. I just, had ideas and I heard those things when I played, and it involved using both hands in the way that I do.
Yeah.
But if you want to become, teach your left hand, you got to like play some stuff that involves it. You have to train. It's training.
On my hand technique book, everything is always leading right and leading left. But as I got older, I'm 60 now. When I was younger, I see people, playing time like this and like this and trying to have the left beat like the right. It's like the whole thing with the bass drum. I have a phase that people, I'm just like, let's see if I can play with my foot what I can play with my hands. And I realized Eric is a pianist. I realized, I watch her play. The bass in music, the bass is not as busy as the right. There is a function for that.
Different functions, yeah.
So as I get older and I have less time to practice, I kind of embrace the difference. My left hand is playing snare drums and cross sticks, and this on my other kit I have cowbells here, and I realize there's no way this hand's gonna be doing the same. My whole life I'm playing hi-hat and ride with this hand. This hand is a different function, a different reed. So I do practice right and left. But one thing that for me personally, I embrace now the different functions. My right hand when I'm playing, it doesn't do the same things. It's primarily hi-hat and ride, but it's okay to discover how was okay for me to, what does my left hand does and how can I do that better? But I'm not gonna all of a sudden spend hours trying to do a fast right pattern with my left, which is gonna sound exactly like this. So I have two ways to do the exact same thing. I rather do different things. So just food for thought, the function of the hands is a little different,
So John,
Yes,
building
David.
ghost notes into your playing involves using your left hand, developing that, way to play.
Right.
So, if you go back in time in the evolution of this instrument and you check out the drummers that were happening in the late 60s and early 70s, it was all this interaction with the left hand and the bass drum.
Right.
So right there, the musical climate meant that you were going to have that going in your playing, the demands of the kind of like the I don't know, the air that you're breathing of the time, like,
Right.
Henrique coming up, in Brazilian culture, that's the air that he was breathing, that music that influenced the way that he plays today, you know. So to that gentleman who asked the question, you got to use your left hand. You got to start developing the concept of ghosting and all of those other things. That's just part of the way that it's done.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I have another question for both of you. And this is from a friend of mine named John Adams, who has a great podcast himself. It's called Drummers Eating Pizza. And it's really, really cool. He came to my house last year and he interviewed me and then we went and had pizza. It was great. But it's a great question. And he's a drummer and a teacher himself. Do either of you hear subdivisions when you play, or is it just felt at this point? Do you have to actually hear it, or can you just feel it and play it now? Henrique?
It depends, some subdivisions I played a lot more than other subdivisions. But, again, Dave and I talked about this week about the counting. The first time for instance, I don't play quintuplets and septuplets as much as I play, the common rates, triplets, and so on. So the way that helped me, first of all, counting is amazing, right? You got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Dave and I were talking about, we wrote so many books and we write so much that both of us, when we play, we can see the music in our heads. When I was playing that stuff for you, I can notate almost everything I play. I can write it down. So counting the subdivisions first, then repetition, the amount of repetition you have to do to start to hear the subdivisions. And then in order for you're never going to be able, in my opinion, to feel the subdivisions if there is not a lot of repetition. And one of the things that I like to do to help me hear it is which is difficult, man. It's difficult. Let me give you an example. If I play 16 notes, if I play a 6 and a 4 in 16th notes, you'll be able to hear the subdivision, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. So I'm going to play a measure of paradiddle, and then I'm going to play another measure of 16 notes, but I'm going to group in 6 and 4, like this. Watch. So if you can get 16th notes and groups in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you still can hear the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4, like this, watch.
1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the...
So I did a lot of singing. So I'm playing 16th notes. I'm counting 1 E and the 2, and I'm accenting on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you can hear the 16 notes and feel it as a 16 note, even if it's a 5 or 7 like this.
1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1.
That's the beginning of that journey. Now, watch, if I go to quintuplets, right? But I don't do this. How can I hear quintuplets freely? I had to be able to move accents in the quintuplet and still hear the fives like this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1.
So what is the big deal of that is if I play a few in quintuplets, if I stay on the so what's happening here is this. Now, if I stay there long enough, if I go what they call outside, right?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So how you develop the ability to hear the fives freely is I have those drills with stickings. Like if you do a 6 and a 4, it's 10, right? 6 and 4 is 10. So a 7 and a 3 is 10. And then we started training those little symmetrical phrases that fits on a bar, but I have those phrasing drills that if I do a 7 7 7 3 3 3 7 3, that's a freaking long phrase that you're gonna be not only over the beat but over the bar line, right? So it's gonna be like.
All right.
So it takes a process for you to hear the fives and you're not counting. And the other thing is to think horizontally instead of thinking vertical. When, meaning be able to play a groove and tell a story over that groove. That's more like on the improvisational context, right? If I play in quintuplets, just a groove in quintuplets, I mean 10-16. But I can't play a jazz gig and do that all night with people solo and improvise. I have to be, so to make music, if I create little melodies on top of it, keep the beat, hire the drummer, but then tell a little story over it. it takes a little bit of doing to be able to hear without counting, because now you just thinking about the melodies and the phrases that you're creating, so, but yeah, that's what we want it to be. So on the subconscious level, you don't want to, in my opinion, I don't want to be playing music going 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1,
Yeah. David, can you give us your perspective on how you approach subdivisions?
Yeah, I get to take out the trash now. Okay.
No.
So it just was a different way that I approached it. When I first went to Boston with Tower, I met Gary Chafee, and Alan Dawson.
Yeah.
So Casey Sherrill and Doug Florence were students at Berkeley, and they came to a Tower show, and they brought me over to meet those guys. And so Gary, that was my first kind of introduction to his approach with sticking and all those sort of things. And then, his books at the time were only handouts in his classes at Berkeley. And so I got his books and I started kind of messing around with them. But the way that I approach books is the only book that I can say that I've gone through cover to cover is Stick Control and a couple of the Wilcoxon books when I was studying with Murray Spivak in LA. The rest of the time, it's taking this little thing conceptually and building something that I could use in my band. That was my thinking. And so I never liked odd times. I was never interested in odd times per se. I know there was something there, but it didn't interest me odd times as odd times. So when I started messing around with Gary's stuff, to me it sounded like, because I always played in the context of 4/4 all the time, because of Tower of Power and, funk and R&B. I said, well, if I play those things in a linear way, it's an odd time over the context of 4/4. So if one of Gary's stickings is this 5, right, left, left, right, right. That's a 5-stroke roll.
Yeah.
It's just a linear 5-stroke roll. And so if I play them, connect them like this, I can think 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E. So I'm thinking, when I got into that stuff, I'm thinking, well, what if I take my right hand and I move it over here? It took me at least a year of playing that all the time and making myself count, because basically this is, if you play it in a linear way in the context of 4/4, it's 5/16. You're playing 5/16 over the 4/4.
Yeah.
Creates another time signature. So if you're playing just paradiddles, well, that's an accent on every quarter note. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a. So if I count that, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, count the 5, the accent advances 1/16th note every quarter note. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E, 3 E, a 4 E and a 1. It creates a cycle of 20 quarter notes, 5 measures of 4/4 time. So it took me a while to understand that. That was the first thing. That was my introduction into that whole thing about playing odd times in 4/4. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to do that with Tower. And I did that. I used to play 7s over some of the intros to songs. And when, Chester would play organ solo, on Squib Cakes, I would play in 7 behind him, that kind of thing, And I loved the way that felt, because it sounded like improvisation in a way.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But it really wasn't, because it was like kind of an orchestrated sort of a deal, which to me fit into the R&B concept really, really well.
Yeah.
Especially what we were doing with Tower. So I took that thinking, well, my thinking was, what if I move my right hand over to the hi-hat? And I play that like that. Add some bass drum. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then play that kind of stuff with the band and make up stuff. So then I got into taking those ideas and making my kind of like DG sort of rudiments.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it ended up going in that direction. So here with the 5, that's in future sounds. That's a paradiddle with another note added behind it. And you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2. The same thing. You just create grooves with that shell of the rhythmic idea. So I think, well, if I could do that with 5, well, what if I was to do it with 7? This is my thinking. This is how it evolved for me.
Mm-hmm.
What if I could do it with 7? Because there was another sticking, and Rick played it, and it's this one. That's a 7-stroke roll in a linear way. And if you play it over 4/4, then it's like 16th notes, and you're thinking 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. It takes 7 measures of 7/16 in 4/4 to resolve back to beat 1.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, what if I take a paradiddle diddle and put a bass drum after it?
Right.
I'm thinking, okay, there's a step, but I want a backbeat in it. So the second 7, the sticking of paradiddle diddles, right, left, right, right, left, left. The second one, I'd play the left hand, which falls into the sticking because it goes one way. Like this. Every other one, there's a backbeat in there. So I'm thinking, okay, in the context of the 7, so I think, okay, now I'm getting somewhere. So what if I start with a bass drum? And then I'm thinking like kind of groove, in the groove sort of context. And so then play that over 4/4, and it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And it sounds like kind of a psychedelic halftime,
Yeah.
It goes sideways, but it has that sort of like halftime sort of vibe to it. So then I just took those things, like I do 9, 11, 13. I'm really fascinated with 13 notes. So here's something, an idea that's on one of my books. I think DG's notebook. 2 paradiddles, and then a 5-note sticky, foot, like that. "13 notes. And then you put them together so it gets a flow. So if you play it that way, just as 13, it's completely psychedelic. It just sounds really, really weird. So in a 4/4 context, you're playing 13/16. And so it sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. So how I use these things is I can go in and out of them any way I want now, land in all kind of weird places, but keep track of where 4/4 is always. I hear 4 measure phrases. I hear 8 measure phrases, 2 measure phrases. And this way to construct beats completely changed everything for me, because then my context was no longer 2s and 3s. It became all these longer phrases, and so I could plug things in. So if you take a 13-note phrase or an 11-note phrase, and that cycle that it creates, you write it out, and you see that there's all this stuff in there, 2 measure phrases, 1 measure phrases, things that you can create all kind of really crazy, nasty, slinky grooves. And then you're thinking 4/4. Your intention is 4/4. You're feeling 4/4. You're hearing 4/4. You're counting 4/4. It changes the whole way that stuff works. And to me, it's very, very relatable. It works in a context of music. What I used to do with Tower Power is I do this kind of stuff, but I learned early on, never tell the band what you're doing. That was my rule. Never tell the band what's going on. Because I remember when I first started doing the 7 thing, this is like a long, long time ago, and I was so excited about it. And one day at rehearsal, I told the guys, hey, I'm playing at 7 in this thing. They're doing, you're not doing that in our music. So I'm thinking, okay, all right, this is it. I just kept my mouth shut, and then would build all these really weird ideas. And then sometimes in sound checks, I'd play all this crazy stuff. We'd, do a sound check, and we would go through a couple of the songs we always play, and I would play a 9. A weird 9 or 13 or 11s or all these weird songs, and the guys look at me and go, "Yeah, do that." No, I don't want to get fired. I want to keep my gig, But I would do it just as an experiment, just to see what it sounded like, see what it felt like, and it's just amazing, man, what happens in a musical context when you create ways to integrate the things you're learning and apply it in the music that that you're playing. It's amazing what comes from it. I get excited. I'm pumped right now.
That's great, man.
And it's great ear training because
absolutely.
I remember you and I jamming, displacing things, and then a day later there was another artist that came in, and I tried to do that, and he would stop and say, which meter you were on. When I was still in 4, right? It helps you. It's a great device to move stuff around. It's great.
That's funny. What meter are you on?
Yeah, he would stop.
It's like, are you on weed or something?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we should wrap it up. We've been at it for quite a while here, and we're gonna all have to shave pretty soon if we stay on too much longer.
I got another coffee. I gotta have another coffee here.
So I didn't do anything that I planned to do. So I had this handout. It's gonna be at camp. Sorry, no, that's cool. My uncle is a great drummer, and he's really encouraged me to write down things, be organized. He's a great funk drummer.
You can't show everything you know in an hour, bro.
That's right. That's right.
So
it's impossible.
My uncle is
Erika,
really on
settle
my
them
case.
down, please.
My uncle is really getting on my case too. So this was about displacement things, and then I had a song that highlights that. So, but I don't think we're going to have time for that. But
well, here's what I'm going to do, Henrique. I'm going to put all this stuff in the show notes, and there's going to be a link to your website and to the school, to the camp, and I'll put the link to the song in there too. And I do want to make sure, because very important, I want to show this really cool T-shirt. Now, this is the cover. David, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the cover for David's new book, digital copy through Hudson Music, coming out next week, I guess, right? That's the word?
Beat Collector's Manual. That's the name of the book.
Okay, Beat Collector's Manual. I love it. And I love that T-shirt. I'm going to definitely ask Rob to hook me up with one of those T-shirts.
I actually drew that. I can't believe it. My wife goes, "You drew that?"
Wow.
He mentioned that you did that, and I was going to say that is fantastic. That is such a cool graphic.
Yeah.
That's a winner. That is a winner.
Are you going to bring those to camp, David?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to bring a merch truck with me, dude. I mean, come on.
But yeah, we'll definitely put a link in for that too to have the
There's
introduction.
going to be
of your
three
new book.
colors: black, blue, and white. So evidently, there's 3 colors.
Oh man, cool. All right.
You know, so if
Can
you
I say
want
something?
make a fashion statement in different colors, you can do it. You know.
All right. All right.
Can I say something about camp real quick? Because I know.
Of course. Yes. Yes.
This
Please.
camp is amazing. It's a good hang. You're not going to be far away, and it's not on the pad. We have practice rooms. You have time to practice. You go in the classroom. You're on the set. The school is very small, but every drum set, thanks to Earthworks, shout out to Evans to mail this drum head today, but every station has 2 overheads, kick, a mixer. I mean, Dave can
That's great.
tell you, it's a small school, but everything is high quality.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
we thanks to Sorna drums and Zildjian cymbals, Vic First, LP. I mean, you got
And there's a coffee machine.
And there's a coffee machine.
there's a break room. So it's not a place that you're gonna sit there and watch the teachers tell you stuff and it's hands on, right, Dave?
Yeah. Interactive. Yeah, that's what that's when we talked about this last year. That's exactly the impression I got, is that it's really hands-on, and you know, you guys are you know, approachable, obviously, and right in there with them in the classroom.
So, John, can I say one other thing?
Yeah, of course, David. Yeah, please.
I mean, folks, you should come to this camp. I'm really serious. I mean, I've told people about it, and it's a really unique experience if you can do it. That's all I can say. It's just, you know, it's a lot of fun being together, talking about drums for a week. Could be worse. You know?
Absolutely.
There's worse things that you can do with yourself, you know, but the environment is really conducive to learning. You know, that room there you see Erika in, that's the kind of the room where we hang out each day. And behind that, there's another little room behind that. It's a studio. To her right is another studios that have, you know, Henrique's office in there. There's another drum set. We do classes in there. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, what's the business next to you? Like a dog shearing? What is it? What is it? What is it?
It's a dog groomer.
Okay. So yeah, so it's like it's in the most unassuming place. It's in a strip mall, and then you go into these guys' place, and man, it's like this worldwide connected thing with all this amazing stuff. But then, if you want to have your poodle trimmed while you're doing it, you go next door and you know, you have your poodle trimmed while you're in, you know, learning how to play 5. You know,
David,
That's great.
One of my favorite part of the camp is when we have breakfast together, go to lunch together, go to dinner together. I mean, the amount of time you have to ask David questions and hang out, and a topic will come up that was not, I mean, he's flexible, and I love Dave's philosophy. It's like, it's all about you, you know, it's about helping you and inspired, and it's cool, man. I am looking forward every year. We get pumped up. We start talking about camp. We have a conversation right after it, right? We like in January, we're like,
you
man,
getting pumped up? What's up with that?
Yeah.
You're so boring, man. I mean, can you like inhale so that we could talk, please? That's what I tell my wife. My wife's talking to me. It's like, can you like take a breath so I can say something?
and
You gotta be careful.
David's
Be
gonna
careful.
play his postcards, get his certificate on the postcards.
Oh man, he writes me these postcards. Here's one. DG's postcard number 1. He wrote me this thing. it's got all that stuff in it that he played for you, here.
Can you hold that up again, David? Let's
DG's
see.
postcard.
I love it. Look at that. Fantastic. That's great.
And then he says to me, "Have you put this on the drum set?" Yes.
Well, guys, this has been so much fun. I knew it would be, and you've given so much to so many people watching today, and I want to thank you guys for being here. And I know everybody watching thanks you too. And a big shout out and thank you to David Garibaldi, Henrique De Almeida, his lovely wife Erika,
The
Bill
boss.
Gibson,
Okay.
the boss, Bill Gibson, who was here earlier and had to run.
Billy.
But we'll put all the information in the show notes. Get to this camp if you can, and you won't regret it, obviously.
John, thank you so much. I love your show. I go for long walks. We live in a beautiful Colorado Springs. Our neighborhood has these nice pathways to walk, and I go because of my back. I go to long walks, and I think what you're doing is amazing. I'm inspired. I look forward to
Thank you.
my walks. I always listen to your show. Thanks for having me
My pleasure.
in your show, and can't wait to interview you to our podcast inside of the Drum Set Coach. But thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Keep
Thank
going.
you.
Your show, now we live in a world that there's so many bad stuff happening, and you make my day better, man.
Thank you, man.
Your
Thank
show,
you.
I listen to it. It's positive, it's informative, and to have somebody like you who are in the industry for so long, and it's really, that's a blessing, man. That show is a blessing. I can go
Thank you.
walk and listen to something positive. So keep doing what you're doing, because it's really, hopefully other people feel the way I feel it,
And
Thank you.
you're left-handed.
Whether I like it or not.
Yeah, you're left-handed. In Italian, they call it a mancino. So that's like, somebody who's left-handed.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
It's
Henry Mancini, the name is Mancini. That's like the left-handed people.
Oh, okay. I thought, yeah. Wow. Okay. A real honor and a pleasure to have you all here today. Hang with me for 1 second. We'll end the stream and we'll say goodbye. But again, a big hand for David, Henrique, Erika, Bill Gibson. And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you all real soon. All right. All right. That's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows and information on purchasing Live From My Drum Room t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. The link is also in the show notes. And you can contact me through my website or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you again real soon.